everyone, it's Michelle. Thank you so much for joining and welcome back to all my subscribers. Today we're going to talk about financial regrets. So first things first, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you have been watching and enjoying my shows, and I would love to hear from you, so be sure to make a positive comment as well. It really helps to grow my channel. Now today's show is a tag from the Miss Amelia Rose, and if you're not watching her channel, she is just so fun to watch, so be sure to check her out. So the tag is actually top 5 luxury handbag regret, and I've actually never bought 5 handbags. So I have to put another twist on this show, and I thought what I should talk about is other luxury purchases that I can say were financial mistakes or lessons. And I did reach out to Miss Amelia Rose and tell her, like, girl, I haven't even bought 5 handbags. So she gave me a good idea. She said, talk about the 5 bags from my work experience that I wouldn't buy. So that's actually going to be in a follow-up show. I don't actually have any handbag luxury regrets, but I thought I would take the opportunity because there are at least 2 luxury regrets that I can think of off the top of my head. So it's going to be a little bit different than handbags, but I hope you learn a financial lesson in this show. So the first would be my Mercedes CLA 250 that I leased in 2015, and I love this car. It was such a beautiful car. It's still on my wish list as a second backup driving car one day. Now this was my first time leasing a car, so I had no idea what I was doing. And the car was just so pretty. It's so pretty in red, so I was blinded by that shiny red apple and I wanted to have it. I also wanted to just give this to myself as a divorce present. I also had a lot of friends who were saying, go for it, you deserve it, you work hard. Now the problem was I was just getting started as a self-employed single mom, and I wasn't there yet. So my finances weren't there yet and my mindset wasn't there yet. So I got myself into this lease, and by the way, Mercedes makes it so easy. They're like, no job, no problem. No money down, no problem. We're still gonna give you this car anyways. And it was honestly the cheapest car on the lot. And so the Asianness in me likes to say, like, oh, when people would drool over the car, I'm like, no, it's the cheapest one. Because like I still am pretty conservative when it comes to spending money. Anyhow, the car made me feel great. So the energy tied to it, like, love driving it, got attention at the valet, like, oh yeah, we'll take your car. And it was just a good feeling. Like when I would show up at jobs, for makeup jobs, I felt like it did make a difference because I felt more expensive. Like you get to charge more if you feel and look more expensive. Now, what I was saying was that my bank account was not ready, my mindset was not ready. I did not put the wheels in motion to make the money to make the payment for the car. So I was basically going from a much smaller payment, about half, to doubling the payment, plus the insurance went up a little bit. And all these things I didn't think about because I was just looking at the red shiny apple. So Mercedes will do this to get you hooked because, of course, the service is great. And I just told you how easy it is, because when they want you to drive that brand and be loyal to that brand, that is what they will do. Now, everything about driving that car was wonderful. Service was easy. They give you a loaner car. So it really does feel great driving a Mercedes. So are there all these wonderful things of like, this is how easy to get in the car. Okay, all I need to do is make up the money. However, my habits did not change. My spending habits did not change. I kept spending elsewhere where I should have been putting that money into the payment of the car. I was working hard, I was not working smart. There are things that need to be changed in your mindset so that you're not just grinding your wheels and working for the same amount of money. Furthermore, those friends who were saying I deserved it, I was still agreeing to do so many favors for them and drive them around town without them giving me any gas money or anything, therefore putting more miles on my leased car. Now when you lease a car, there's a limit on how many miles you're supposed to drive per year, and they'll charge you if there's extra. I was still keeping these old habits, which I didn't even realize that it was a good thing to say no to friends. I felt so bad to say no to people for so many favors until a friend pointed out, she's like, why do you keep doing favors? Why do they keep asking you? They shouldn't be asking you. And I didn't realize that because I was just not accustomed to saying no. The total of the 3-year lease was around $27,000. So at the end of that 3 years, that was the amount that I found myself in credit card debt. So instead of putting the money into the car payment, I was still living my lifestyle, paying for dinners and Disneyland and this and that, and I landed in that much debt and had to return the car still. So I learned the hard way that that was a very bad decision. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad decision to lease a car. I was just not in the financial position or mindset to do so. So now, at the end of last year, 2020, I did decide to purchase a car instead of leasing. It's not a Mercedes, but the way that I told myself I'm going to pay for this car is by doing these YouTube videos. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. And if you haven't already, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button to help me grow my channel so I don't have to get my car repossessed. Okay, thank you so much. Now, the second purchase that I could think of that maybe I shouldn't have bought, and it's not that big a deal, but it is something that just sits around now. So back in 2005 to 2008, I was a big fan of Tiffany and Company. I do wish at the time I had bought some Louis Vuitton pieces during the Marc Jacobs era, particularly the Steven Sprouse. But I thought it was too expensive at the time, and I would go to the Tiffany store every once a month. I would buy myself something, and that was when the little pendants and necklaces and charms, they were like $125 to $150, so it wasn't a whole lot. That was my splurge, and that was my comfort level of spending. So I got all these bracelets and charms, but I only have one neck and 2 wrists, and I don't wear a whole lot of them now, but I still love the pieces that I have. Now, my only regret out of that whole thing is that I bought the Charm Link bracelet. So that big chunky chain that's so popular. And I bought that one, and the one I chose to buy was when I ran the New York Marathon, because it came with the New York Marathon charm, and I was able to engrave my time on the charm. So that has some sentimental value. But when I put my other charms on it, and the very first time I wore the darn thing, and I was working full-time, a corporate job at the time, so had my laptop, and the first thing I noticed is when you start typing, that bracelet bangs all over the desk, and it's just sterling silver, and you know it's quite soft. It will scratch right away. Not only will the bracelet scratch, but the charms will scratch. So I know this Tiffany jewelry is very delicate, because even just wearing a necklace, it seems like it's safe on your neck, but just like rubbing back and forth on your skin creates little micro scratches. Okay, at the time I was working for a sneaker company, and there was this coworker, just call her Negative Nancy. I remember her because she always stacked these cheap bracelets on each arm. They were like cookie lead type of bracelets, just stacked, so everywhere she went it would jangle. She also wanted everybody to know that she thought she was working harder than everyone else in the office. I remember one day I said, "Hey, good morning, Nancy, how are you doing?" And her response was like, "I'm so busy." That's a loaded question. And I was like, okay, so just ask me how you are. Most people just say, "I'm fine, thank you." And then she kind of was like embarrassed, like, "Oh, okay, I'm fine." But anyways, that was her attitude every day. So when she sat at her keyboard and typed like this, like, you know, while you type angrily so everyone can hear you, and her bangles would bang against the keyboard, and it was the most annoying sound. So when I wore this bracelet and started typing gently on my keyboard, and I could just hear the bracelet going as I was typing, not only did it sound like her, but I could hear the bracelet just scratching, and I just didn't want to wear it anymore. So now I have the charms attached to it. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to go back to the store and take them off. I don't know, maybe my daughter wouldn't want to wear it. "Hey baby, do you want a charm bracelet? Tiffany charm bracelet?" Maybe she does. We'll see. So anyhow, those are just like, you know, I guess one major and one minor luxury regret, mistake, or lesson. Let's call it a lesson. I hope you learned something from my lesson. Thank you guys so much for joining. Now, the follow-up to this video, so when I had told Amelia, I was like, "Hey girl, I haven't even bought 5 handbags." She suggested, she said, "Hey, talk about like from my work experience at Vuitton, 5 bags that I would never buy. So my next video is about the 5 things at Vuitton that I would not put my money on. So go ahead and check that one out. Thank you so much for joining. My name's Michelle. Bye.